Nothing we say is investment advice. Good morning, everybody. It is Cowboy, aka Nick here, and we just had our PPI data come out, and it actually was kind of quiet. The market moved all night last night for a lot of things, not necessarily the NASDAQ though. NASDAQ stayed pretty calm overnight, which kind of, it's a futures market. The main market's not open until, spot market opens with the stock markets. So the lack of movement is understandable. It might be that when the NASDAQ opens, we actually see the movement. So right now, though, let's go ahead and take a view of at least what's been going on with the NASDAQ, what it looks like algorithmically. I can tell you that short term, there is upward pressure on the NASDAQ, right? So a lot of eyes have been watching the stock market, and the NASDAQ being where all the tech is, that's where people are really concerned, right? This is where your NVIDIA and all these types of, assets are in the market. So we had to move down below what was a key area, and we essentially touched where I said we would initially touch, which was right about 24,000, and price actually dipped below this area. And this is a key area because of the way that the market has moved over time. We'll zoom out and talk about that in a minute. But what seems to be happening at the moment, and we're going to find out as soon as the actual market opens.
Hey, good morning.
How you doing, bud? As soon as the market opens, we're going to find out whether or not this move up is going to be continued, right? Because this is the NASDAQ going back to when the market started to fall, and this is a clear downtrend, right? You have lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high, and that this is just a downtrend pattern. Very simple. This is how you look at things on charts without using any indicators, and this might be a lower high right here, right? So let me make this a little easier to see there. And so when you have lower highs and lower lows repeatedly,
lower hose,
what might change this as far as the trend situation is concerned is if price goes above 25,350, right? It's got to go above what is a prior lower high. And that is part of the equation. So you see it go above here. It's like, okay, price might be ready to head up. But then let's just say that happens. We'll draw that out. Let's say this happens. You get kind of a move up here. Then we need to see a higher low for us to be in an uptrend, right? So we need higher lows and higher highs. And we're going to see if that happens or not. Now, we are headed into the holiday. PPI just came out today. We are seeing up close, if you look at the chart, very near term, we're seeing what looks like a bit of bullish action. There is room for bullishness in the algos as well. In fact, the fact that this hasn't fallen, given what I'm seeing in the algos below and those indicators you see at the bottom of the screen, that also is indication of some pretty strong bullishness kicking in. And on top of that, just price action looking right here, where these give me a second to find my arrow there, where these wicks are right there. Price tried to dump below and go down towards 22K 3 times. Let me zoom in a little bit. Hope you all see it on the screen here. It might be a little faint to see on your display, but 3 wicks right here are an indication that price tried to dump below and got forced back up 3 times in a row. So this is 3 attempts by the bears to push price down, and 3 attempts plus a couple of more up here to keep price high, right? So that might be a clue that somebody important, or just simply the bulls. It might just be that the market was ready to buy. It might be that the dip buyers were in, but I get the feeling that this might have been a little bit more mechanical. It might have been a little bit more of a larger decision making behind the scenes to keep price from going below what's the key area. And let's briefly talk about why we can actually take a look at history here. And if you look at the history of the NASDAQ, price was in an uptrend, right? We were talking about this in a very large uptrend. And we're going to look back to April of 2025. So just all this year, price is headed up. And I'm not going to draw it out specifically, but higher highs and higher lows. And then you had a pullback as September, and then price headed back up. Well, that was a key area, and price fell down to that key area, right? So there's a lot of liquidity liquidity there. It's a place where the large players can fill their bags without forcing the price up. It's also a place where a lot of people bought and sold in the past. And so a lot of people are going to support price. So it's kind of whenever you see that where a lot of people caused price to go back and forth, that's what's basically known as price discovery. It's where the buyers and the sellers agree for a period of time. And very often you'll see price go to those areas to grab liquidity and head back up. So that's what we've seen so far. It does not mean the price will, but and even in the, in the algos, it's possible price could either go up a bit or trend sideways. But I would be a little bit cautious on that. Cautiously, not optimistic, but let's just say not as bearish, right? I'm going to have to see a lot of things kind of play out before I'm like, hey, the blood is done. And because I don't honestly think, I think we're going to actually see price possibly head down a bit more. I don't think we're done with this bleeding, but we'll see. There are good. The stock market is politically important, and it is entirely possible that the leadership will go baroque, keeping that thing going up, right? Which means eventually it's going to crash down pretty hard, or it's going to hyperinflate. But I would not leave it outside the realm of possibility that this thing just catches here at 24 and continues to go up, even if it means that we eventually break the bond market doing it. So that is the NASDAQ. V, do you have anything to add about the NASDAQ? Or else for that matter? Do you have anything you want to say about the NASDAQ or anything else? Or
no.
Okay. No. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Now, this is the chart I drew like a while ago on Bitcoin, probably going back a week or two. Now, you can see where I did draw this sort of recovery path right here. Now, it might be a short-term recovery. It could go down after that. Don't get me wrong. But this, I drew going back to like last Thursday. And so far, it's kind of following that. We're going to see as time goes on whether or not the Bitcoin price can stay above 80,000. So it did dump down to 80,700. And for the moment, it's holding up. The NASDAQ has a lot to do with that. And the way that I'm looking at this is whenever you have an extended move in any asset, Bitcoin or otherwise, you get these moves up. You get these relief rallies. That's what they're called, relief rallies. Or bear markets can't go down forever, right? So it's going to pull up like here, and it's pulling up right now. It doesn't mean it's going to continue up. And we are near the end of the calendar-wise Bitcoin bull market. We may never see 120,000, at least for the next year or two or three. We might not see it again. Price might have to head down quite a bit and then start over for its
26,000.
Yeah, I think something like between
26 and 28,000
is realistic. Actually, my range is 30 to 50,000, closer to 30. And with Bitcoin, it tends to wick down deeper than you think it will to scare people. So if I think 30, then 25 is very, very reasonable. Here, it could be a short-term move. There's always that chance that, sure, Bitcoin's going to go back up. We'll see new all-time highs. But you know what? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We're at a time in the cycle where either that's going to happen or not. Now, if it was like 6 months ago, I'd say, yeah, it's probably going to go make new all-time highs. But we're not 6 months ago. We're now. We're at the end. We're near December, everybody. Like, this is pretty much the winter, if you will, of the bear market, meaning that let's say that again. This is the winter of the bull market. This is like the late fall of the bull market, if you will. This is in the traditional finance markets. The TradFi, we'll say, what do you call it? The NASDAQ, the stock market, all that. If that's going down, then that's going to be like gravity to Bitcoin. It's going to pull Bitcoin down. But if the NASDAQ goes up in this particular time, it doesn't mean Bitcoin's going to go up. We need to understand that. It means Bitcoin can go up. It doesn't mean that it will. But if traditional finance goes down, it means most likely Bitcoin will go down. This is something that like people have a hard time getting through their head. They think, oh well, if the NASDAQ is going to pull Bitcoin down, the way it looks to me, based on the charts, based on the metrics, the NASDAQ can pull and will pull Bitcoin down. But will it push Bitcoin up? Maybe short term, it'll allow for a relief rally. If we are in that scenario where Bitcoin does make another all-time high, okay, that's possible. But as time goes on, that becomes less and less likely, right? Everything's based on probabilities, guys. It's not about if and or but. It's all probabilities. So that said, we got a lot of we got a few comments. Nice. We got some friends in here. Pretty much know all of them. And Lisa's saying the audio is a little spotty randomly. I don't know. Maybe that's on your side, Lisa. I don't hear anybody else saying that. But thank you all for watching. V the Gorilla, can you get us over to that private live, please?
Yes, absolutely. Listen, guys, listen, community on God's green earth, Algo Factory.tech. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro by developing the algorithms that trade on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of the market, whether it's up, whether it's down. You don't have to feel like a clown. Join AlgoFactory.tech. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro. Take it away.
Looks like I screwed up our screen here. As I screwed it all
everything up.
Sorry, we'll fix it later.
You're a screw-upper.
Let's get out of here, everybody. Thank you for watching. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, we gotta send them the message. We've got to send the message. Hold on. The same message, the same thing we do every night, Pinky. Yeah. Where is that? You know what? It's funky. It looks like it looks like something's going on with my join or die. So, oh, here it is.
Join us or die.